Hey everyone, I know this one's a little late, but welcome to another two-tailed playthrough. Wrapping up our month of shooters is going to be R-Type for the Turbographix. Now, I know I said it was going to be Wolf 3D, and that is coming. It's taking me a little while to get that one put together, so I wanted to put something up quick so you guys aren't waiting for another two-tailed playthrough for too long. R-Type was released back in 1987 by Irem. It's an arcade game, and it's recognized as one of the classics in the shooter genre. R-Type is set in 22nd century, and you control a fighter craft called the R-9A Arrowhead, named for its shape. It's also the 9th model in the R series of fighter craft, but is the first of the series to actually be used in combat. The previous models were all prototype. This is all information learned from that has actually been revealed in later R-Type games, as the only story from the arcade game is the little message at the beginning that says, "Blast off and strike the evil Bido Empire." You can also, of course, find all this on the wiki page for R-Type. Now, like I said, I wanted to do the arcade version, but the emulator was fighting me, so I chose the Turbographix version because this version is the version that most closely resembles the arcade version, in my opinion. At least, it's the closest that I've seen. Now, despite this game being as hard as it is, it's actually one of my all-time favorite shooters, mainly because when I was a kid, I actually at one point owned an R-Type cabinet. My grandfather, I'm not really sure how he got it. He might have got it at a flea market or something. But when I lived in the Keys, he somehow came across this R-Type cabinet. And my dad showed it to me, and I fell in love with it. And when we moved, we actually took it with us. And for a long time, I actually had this thing, and I played it, and I got really, really good at it. Of course, being a kid, unfortunately, I got bored with it and didn't appreciate the value that is an arcade cabinet. So when I stopped using it, my dad unfortunately wound up selling it to a friend of his, and now it's gone. I don't know what that friend of his did with it. Last I heard, the guy sold it to a church or something. But yeah, that was me being a really young kid, not appreciating the value of an arcade cabinet. And I mean, I kick myself now for letting it go, because it was in pristine condition. The decals were all there, nothing was peeling, there was no sun damage whatsoever. I mean, my grandfather actually kept it in a gazebo when he had it, so I would have to go in there and play it. At first, we actually had a box of Chuck E. Cheese tokens that we played it with before we got the key and just opened it up and reached in and pressed a button to free play it. And this thing, I mean, it was even in such good condition, we even had the manual for it. It was that incredible. I remember at one time we kept looking through the manual, and we found on one of the schematics there was a switch, and it was actually a switch for something called no death mode. So after tinkering with it and that, we actually found this switch, and when you flip that on, it makes it like it says no death mode. You can't die. Anything that would normally kill you, I mean anything at all, you just go right through it. You go through walls, you go through enemies, everything. So basically the machine would just keep going and going and going. Even if you weren't playing, you just let it run, and since the game restarts after you beat it, it would just keep playing. It was really funny. I remember to keep our high scores, since when you unplugged it, it reset the high score counter, we would actually just leave the machine on, and sometimes we would max the credit counter out at 99, just reaching in and pressing the button, of course, and just let it go, and other times we would just let it go and it would just keep killing itself, and then we'd just sit and watch it and see how far it would get before the craft would actually die. But yeah, that's me reminiscing about my childhood and just how awesome that cabinet was. But anyway, enough about that. Let's get on to what you really want to see. Time to play some R-Type. When you turn the game on, this is the screen you get. There's the blast off and attack the evil Bido Empire. That is the only hint of a story you get from this game, even in the arcade. You would then, of course, insert your coins and hit start, or just hit run on this version here, and the game starts up right away. And here's the R9 Arrowhead. You can see it kind of looks like an arrowhead and has the canopy I mentioned earlier. You have two modes of attack in this game. You could tap the button and shoot as fast as you can, doing a rapid shot, or hold it in and charge it up until the beam meter at the bottom there fills up and release a massive charge shot. Now in this version, I think they nerfed that a little bit, because it seems a bit weaker in my opinion from the arcade version, but it's still very powerful. The item I just picked up summons this little thing here called a force. Not the force, it's a force. It's actually a piece of the Bido, an alien creation thing. When you get it, there are actually 3 different types of it. The first one just brings the little thing out and you can attach it to the front or back of the ship. It has two purposes. One, it functions as a bit of a shield. Bullets that you can actually block bullets with it from the front or back, depending if you can keep them from hitting the actual ship and just have them hit the Bido itself. And two, when you power it up, as you'll see here as I grab this other blue one, it evolves kinda and gives you more firepower. There are three types of force you can get with this thing. There's the blue one that you saw me get, and that gives you this bouncing laser ability. There's a red one that gives you another variation of the laser attack. You'll see it in just a second here as I pick up this red one. It kind of looks like DNA. It's been dubbed DNA beam by several people, as you can see why now that I'm shooting it. And then there's a yellow one that we'll see later on that actually, it's probably, in my opinion, the least useful of the weapons. It fires yellow flame-like pillars from the top and bottom of the ship, and they run along the top and bottom of the level. Not very useful overall, but, I mean, in the right circumstances, it can be useful. Now, as I've been rambling, we've reached the first boss of the stage, called Dobkeratops, or something to that extent. He's a big Bido alien thing that's appearing right now. There's his tail. Now, this thing looks big and scary, but he's actually really easy. Just stay back from him, and you'll really have no trouble with him as long as you dodge the little spinning discs he shoots from the center. In the arcade version, it actually takes one fully charged shot to the center head thing there to blow him up and destroy him, but here it actually takes two. So charge up and get your timing right, and the first hit will get rid of all the eyeballs around him, and he'll actually start moving back and forth. So quickly hit him again, and you'll destroy him. That propels us to level 2. Level 2 is this weird alien lair. You'll see enemies on the top and bottom of the screen. Some of them will come to life, so if you're at the top or bottom and you're just shooting along with the DNA beam like that, you can destroy them before they actually run in the middle of the screen. Otherwise, just dodge them and you'll be fine. Now, the item I picked up at the beginning of this level is a speed-up item. You might have saw me pick one up in the first level. That, of course, as the name suggests, increases the craft's speed. Now, while more speed is good because it means you won't get hit as much, picking up too many of them will make you go way too fast and you won't be able to control the ship very well, which will result in you slamming into a wall or an enemy. So it's best to only pick up 2, maybe 3 of them at most to be able to be fast enough to dodge bullets and still keep control of the craft. The other item, of course, is the little red thing above my ship that's shooting a laser along with me. That's called a bit. It's another bit of alien technology that stays with your ship and acts like a kind of a shield for the top, as well as shooting along with you. Very helpful if you can hang on to it. You find one in level 1, we're going to find another one in the 4th level, and then I think we'll see a couple more of them throughout the game, but you can only have 2, one on top and one on the bottom. There's also, of course, the missiles that I picked up that fire along with you as long as you're mashing the button. They'll continuously fire out and home in on any enemies that happen to be on screen, destroying them or at least inflicting damage. Our boss this time is 2 parts here. It's got the snake thing that just went into the boss, and that's going to wander around throughout the stage trying to hit you. The main part of the boss is this body here. Now, as you can see, I'm sitting right in this little alcove here, and if you sit just on top of it where I am, you'll be just enough so that a snake won't hit you, and you can still continuously hit the boss as its eye opens up. The best weapon for this is the triple blue weapon that you saw me pick up. That shoots, of course, the bouncing lasers, which works very well as the lasers will bounce into the eye. If you can get yourself where I was, keep hitting it a few times and it'll die after like 4 or 5 hits, and you'll have no problem with this boss. You can also try and dance around the snake if you want to, but why would you want to do that when you can do it much easier? Now here we are at level 3, and I'll actually show off the yellow weapon here. You can judge for yourself just how good it is. Level 3, the whole level is this gigantic battleship. Everyone remembers this because this battleship is ridiculously hard. You can destroy just about every bit of it, I mean, reducing it from this awesome space cruiser to basically a flying junk heap, which is good because it's loaded with turrets and guns and lasers and everything basically designed to kill you. And of course, getting hit by any of these things means instant death. You have no health bar, so one hit of course kills you. The yellow weapon is useful at some point in this area because it can run along the ship and destroy stuff, but I still preferred the DNA beam, so to speak, as it worked just as well and is actually a little more powerful. You want to work your way along the ship as this screen progresses, hiding in the little nooks and crannies when it gets too close to the bottom. You can't go along top of it, unfortunately. You have to go along the bottom. going along top just means certain death as you'll ram into the ceiling. When you get to the front of the ship here, one strategy is to do what I just did, which you have to get the force on the rear of your ship so you can destroy those guns on the front, and then work your way to the back here. This little thing here that's popping out and shooting these blue balls with his eye, that's the actual boss's weak point. So you're going to want to wait for the boss to shoot the eyeballs, the blue balls, and then once the eye opens up, give it one full charge shot. A direct hit with a charge shot, fully charged up, will destroy it as you just saw. So just take your time, wait for it to shoot, and then get in there and quickly destroy it. Quickly hit it with a charge shot and you'll have no problem destroying it. Okay, level 4. Now things start to get really tricky, and this is where having the DNA beam is a big help. There's these red ships here that are dropping these green ball things. They're kind of plant-like, I guess. I'm not sure what they really are. But what they do is they hinder you. I mean, they're like fences, blockers, whatever. And you have to destroy them, of course, to be able to go through. If you touch them, you're dead. And the DNA beam actually goes right through the whole stack of them. It doesn't stop after the first one. It actually pierces through the entire stream, so it's very useful to have at this part of the level. There's our second bit that I mentioned. I'm going to pick that up in just a second here, and that'll help us out. There we go. Now I have a bit on top and on bottom. As you can see, things are getting quite hectic here, so it really helps having all your power-ups. This is one of those games where if you wind up getting hit and dying midway through one of the later levels, your best bet is actually to just get a game over and start from the beginning where you can collect all your power-ups again, because it's so hard that if you don't have any power-ups, chances of you surviving are slim and none. And I'm not kidding about that. When you finally get to the end of the mess of green, pea, fence, blocking, whatever, you'll reach the boss. The boss of this level is a 3-part spaceship here. You see, it starts out as one, but it's actually going to split apart into 3 parts, and you have to destroy each part individually. You can see the flashing green sphere on the one in the top right corner. That's what you're going to have to hit. You can see that each one has a green sphere of its own. Hitting the spheres a couple times will destroy each part. You just have to dance around it, avoiding the shots it fires at you until you can do so. Overall, this isn't a very difficult boss. You just have to watch where it's shooting and make sure you don't let it run into you as it dances around. If you have the DNA beam like I do, you can try and position yourself so the force itself touches it and your ship is off to the side, and you'll be fine. Once you manage to destroy all 3 parts, you'll have cleared stage 4. Now, one thing I didn't mention is with the bosses in R-Type, there actually is a hidden timer. If you don't destroy the boss within a certain time limit, I'm not sure what that time limit is, the boss will actually run away, and you won't get points for killing it, but you'll still pass on to the next level. I guess that's sort of like a mercy mode, mercy system or something, in case you have no power-ups and have no real chance of destroying the boss. You can just try and keep yourself alive until it runs away. One of the nicer things they did to this game, but that is so rare because you're most likely going to wind up getting hit and dying that it doesn't happen very often. Level 5 is full of these giant worms. I'm not sure if we're inside a giant worm or what, but the background is beautiful. I mean, you can see all these weird tentacle-like things on the top and bottom, and even in the background. I'm not sure if it's some kind of plant life or alien life or what it might be, but it's all over the place, and you don't want to touch it, of course, because it's instant death. The main enemies in this stage are the giant worms that you'll keep seeing, as well as the little ships that'll keep flying at you. Now, like I said about the speed-up items, they're going to throw a lot of them at you to try and pick them up. If you already have 2 or 3 on you, don't pick up any more because you will not be able to control your ship. You'll just move too fast that you'll cover so much ground in one tap that you'll wind up crashing and dying and being infuriated. So stick with a low amount of speed-ups if you want to get through this game easy. Okay, boss time. This one starts off kind of like a Legion thing. It's covered in these weird gray eyeball ball things that are pretty easy to destroy, especially as it throws them at you. You can either destroy them or let them pass you. And then the main form is revealed. Once it's revealed, just charge up and hit it once and it's dead. I mean, it's very weak. It dies in one hit. Okay, level 6. This is where things get really, really hard. Pure memorization is needed for this part, otherwise you're gonna die. This stage also probably has my favorite song in the game. I know I've been talking a lot, so you probably couldn't hear the music too well, and I apologize for that, but this game also has a fantastic soundtrack. I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere if you want to listen to it. So this stage is full of these tediously placed walls that you not only have to dodge, but then you have to dodge these weird ship things, which mostly come at you with their back end facing you and the weak point away. So you're most likely going to wind up dodging most of them, and they give you just so little room that you have to be very precise with where you're going. It all comes down to, like I said, memorization, and of course me having done this stage so many times, it's slowly coming back to me. I remember most of it, but I did die a few times practicing this stage. But yeah, pure memorization is needed to get through there, so unless you're very, very lucky. Just look at how ridiculous this is. If this is your first time playing this game, there's no way you're going to get through this stage on your first try. Unless, like I said, you're extremely lucky. They designed this so you will die. That's the purpose of this game. You're gonna die. This game, I'm sure it ate so many quarters for kids in the arcade. It's unbelievable because of the difficulty of this. Okay, now here's one of the big differences from this version and the arcade version. In the arcade, this part is the end of the stage. It does this little onslaught of all these ships here. The best place to sit is right here where I'm sitting now, as you can destroy just about all of the ships as they come in, and the ones that don't come in will go up and around, and you'll wind up destroying them before they touch you. So this is more or less a safe spot. Now, in the arcade, after you get past this stage, whether you destroy all the ships or dodge them, the stage would end and you would go on to the next stage. But here, they actually added a boss to it. I'm not really sure why, but I guess they added a boss so it would sort of finalize the stage, because like I said, it didn't have one. And here is said boss. It's got those two green ship parts there that move back and forth spraying fireballs at you, whereas the main part is up here hidden by this wall thing here. If you're quick enough, you can get where I am and just sort of sit there and let it go back and forth waiting for your chance to shoot it, and the other two parts won't be able to hit you. You can only hit it when the eyeball, or whatever that is, it doesn't really look very appropriate, extends, and that's how you do damage with it. So basically just wait until it opens up and then hit it. Staying here, you'll be okay. This level here is the hardest level in the game, hands down. It makes level 6 look easy by comparison. There are so many enemies coming at you at once, so many bullets on screen, not to mention all the walls that you have to dodge, as well as bigger enemies. I mean, look, you got 3 enemies coming up from behind, all these ships coming at you in front. There's walls all over the place. Thankfully, that's not that bad so far, but there's just so much crap coming at you. It's very hard to dodge. Very, very hard stage. Little ways in, you get this big piece of space junk that comes flying through that does nothing but block your path. You actually have to wait for it to go by. You can't destroy it. It blocks your shots from hitting enemies. You basically have to dance around it until it hits the wall right there and explodes. It makes it even more difficult than it already was. When you get to this part, there's going to be a non-stop stream of enemies coming from the ceiling. So if you can get up here and shoot them as long as you can before you have to go down below the wall, you'll save yourself a little bit of trouble. But even then, the stream isn't going to stop anytime soon, and the enemies will just keep pouring out and coming from behind. Take them out as fast as you can, and then you want to get down to the bottom and take out the missile-shooting enemies before they wind up hitting you. After that, you're actually right at the boss, so if you can just hang on a little longer, you'll get to the boss, which isn't very easy, but you'll actually have made it there. Now this boss is pretty tough. There's a continuous stream of junk falling from the ceiling that you have to dodge. Thankfully, most of it you can destroy. Then there's a small, periscope thing that pops up from the ground that shoots at you, as well as the main part of the boss that comes out from the side and waves its arm and shoots a beam at you. You actually have to shoot that part of the boss. You gotta hit it in the face in the big space helmet-like globe thing to destroy it, while dodging all the crap falling from the ceiling and the thing on the bottom. If you can manage to do that, I believe actually there is a safe spot, I'm not sure where it is, but if you can manage to do that and hit the boss enough times, you will destroy it and be able to move on to the final stage of the game. The final stage is really just a big boss fight. It's got some build-up leading into it with these small aliens flying at you, and they give you some power-ups, as you can see a yellow one and a speed there. Again, remember what I said about the speed. But shortly afterwards, you will reach the final boss. One of the most annoying thing about this level is no doubt this weird whirlwind thingy swirling around the stage. It's like a will-o-wisp of some kind. You can't destroy it, and it does not go away. You can only dodge it until you get to the boss and destroy the boss. It's there to hinder you throughout the entire thing. So not only do you have this onslaught of green baby aliens, but this stupid will-o-wisp flying around causing havoc. After a few minutes of destroying baby aliens, you will reach this thing, which is the final boss, the, I guess, head or brain or heart or whatever of the Bido Empire. You won't be able to hit it just yet because it's got this tentacle thing in front that will block all of your shots. However, you can stick the force inside it and be able to at least give yourself more room to dodge. After a minute or so, the tentacles will recede completely and you'll have a brief moment to shoot your force inside at the boss. That's really the only way to hurt this thing. You have to shoot your force inside, and then just keep firing, and the force will keep damaging the boss while you're dancing around outside, dodging will-o-wisps and hordes of green aliens. This is really tricky because without the force you lose your shield, but do your best to dodge everything, and eventually the boss will go down. Once you finally destroy it, you can sit back and enjoy the great music and little ending. Now that is a hard-earned ending. You can see all the other versions of the ship flying past. Unfortunately, there's no way to change the color of your canopy that I know of anyway, but it is nice to see they had other variants. Unfortunately, that's all the ending there is, and a minute or so after that, the game restarts, and if you want, you can play through it again to try and further your score. Of course, if you used your force to destroy the final boss, you won't have it, but you will have the bits with you. And there you have it. R-Type on the Turbographix. Again, I would have loved to have done the arcade version, but unfortunately the emulator just wouldn't cooperate. It was being really, really annoying. Of course, there are many more games in the R-Type series. I mean, R-Type 2, R-Type 3, Super R-Type, R-Type Leo, and the list goes on. R-Type is a very popular series, and again, known for its difficulty, but that does not make it a bad game. It is a fantastic game, and if you love shooters like I do, I highly recommend checking it out. This version, I believe, is also on the Xbox Live Arcade, maybe even PSN, I don't know. So you can pick it up there if you want, or you can try and emulate it. But that's going to bring to a close another two-tailed playthrough. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for watching. See you, Space Cowboy.